figure out what dates work best for everybody. What you are looking at right now is a school calendar that starts on August 26th. And so it has kind of a staggered start. It has 3 days the first week of school, 4 days the second week, and then another 4 days for Labor Day, and then a 5-day week. We've heard a lot of feedback from our sending schools and from our own educators that staggered start works really well. And then it's fairly similar to most of the calendars we've done the past few years. An in-service day in October, Indigenous Peoples Day off in October. And then this has parent-teacher conferences coinciding with Election Day in November. That allows us to not have students in the building for Election Day, but also...
Wish we got that recipe. Could have opened a juicery.
Not have students in the building, but also accomplish parent-teacher conferences. So that's where that is. And then going further, there's a 2-week winter break. This version has a winter break that goes through town meeting day. Again, the rationale for that is that we wouldn't have students in the building during Election Day. We'd have an in-service day. That in-service day is helpful from the district perspective so that we have in-service in August, and then October, January, and March. There's kind of some touch points throughout the year. And then parent-teacher conferences are in March. April vacation is towards the end of April. And then this version has the last day of Monday, June 14th, and then that would be moved out depending on snow days. The one difference from this calendar to what we've done the past few years in my time in the Hartford district is that this calendar has school on Veterans Day. There was some feedback from folks this year that having the election days with an early out and then a day off and then Veterans Day was a lot of interruptions in early November, especially with Thanksgiving at the end of the month. So this version does have school on Veterans Day. So that would be, I think, one thing that we'd like the board's feedback on.
And I think one thing to note in the feedback that we got, so we've run this calendar through the Administrative Council. We also asked for input from the HEA. And one of the things that is pertinent to Veterans Day that is of note, but definitely something for the board to consider and think through, is that a lot of the feedback contained a desire to do something with students on Veterans Day and to take advantage of some of the community events with our students. So that was the rationale there. It wasn't, that we, felt like we didn't want to honor that day. It was that we felt like we weren't really being given the opportunity to honor that day with our students. And yes, of course, is the logistical aspect of November, and just that there are a lot of interruptions in that day, and we also got feedback from families that was a little bit challenging as well. Some of the externalities just to take into account, and this is also just for the public who may be tuning in, there are a lot of things in relation to our school calendar that are out of our control. We've got a certain number of student and staff days that we have to adhere to. There's also been a real concerted effort, at least the last 2 years, to move toward a calendar that at the very least regionally is the same and is common. So among Southeast regional superintendents, the start date of August 26th is what they're all hoping to do. And last year, the real effort was to move toward aligning our winter and spring breaks. This year, it's like, yes, let's continue to align those things. Can we also start in the same day? And that is also due to the fact that we do have a lot of students that come to our Career and Technical Center. We have students who are coming to the Wilder School. And we want to make sure that students are not missing days of school, while some districts are in session and some aren't. So the CTEs really do drive a lot of the calendar, and that's why Erika is such an integral part of helping to put this calendar together. This also gives me an opportunity to thank Erika, because both this year and last, the calendar would not be possible without all of the work that Erika does in collaborating with our sending schools and the superintendents and the career and technical directors. It's a lot of work and a lot of coordination, and so we do our best and this was the input that I provided with different stakeholders who gave input too. Like, we will do our best to consider the things that you're telling us in terms of what you would like to see in the calendar, but there are a number of things that we just can't control.
It's a little bit like a jigsaw puzzle. You move one thing, and then you've got to move some other things too.
Comments, questions?
Well, I'm just curious if you've received any feedback on the late starts versus the early release days that are occurring monthly from families. There's a lot of chatter in the community about it, but I don't know how much of it is actually being formalized and, you know, reaching inboxes and things like that. Or even from the staff with their preferences.
Sure.
As we've experimented with that.
I think that the desire last year was to really think about when that professional learning could occur so that it has the most impact. So last year, when there was a shift to having the late start days, it was really thinking about, like, when is it best for educators to have the opportunity to engage in professional learning together that could then have really positive outcomes with students. And so a lot of these days were first kind of moved to Mondays and Monday mornings, hoping that the effect would be that if educators have this opportunity to collaborate on a Monday morning, that could set the stage for lesson planning, unit planning, all of that, and then this momentum that could be built through revisiting where they were and where they are and building that momentum that day. The other thought in relation to changing from early releases to late starts is that that's something that's really well known because we have to do that for school delays anyway throughout the winter. So it's just like easy to kind of pick up in terms of transportation and logistics. And then the next thing was really thinking about attending to some of the feedback that we got in the reverse, which was that it actually allows some working families to get a longer day in if they're working, because you've got the co-curriculars right after school that parents and caregivers are not having to drive their students back to. They're already at the school, so in essence that provides families with a longer workday if that is, you know, what they need to do throughout the day. I have received other feedback as well that there have been challenges in relation to childcare, for example. Some of that has been attended to, at least like intra-district, as far as like, you know, we've created some opportunities for some childcare for educators during that time. I think the other thing too, in switching back, which if that is the board's will, we can absolutely do that and make that happen, is that we were hoping to see what the impact would be, and it's really hard to see what the impact of a change like that is if you shift back, you know, the next year. So yes, we've received feedback. It wasn't something that we put out there proactively to get feedback on, because one thing that I am very thoughtful about is that giving different stakeholders an opportunity for feedback, but then not applying that feedback can be really frustrating. So I think what we wanted to do was present the calendar here, see if that came up, see if the board would like us to do a little bit more research into certain aspects of the calendar, and then when it is, you know, brought back to finalize, to then apply whatever feedback you'd like us to get, or if you're feeling good about what we're doing, then to move forward with it. So I thought better to bring that here and see what kind of questions you had and think about whether or not there's additional feedback you'd like us to get before we put anything together that's more finalized. Would you add anything to that, Erika or Aaron?
No, I think you covered it. Nancy, any thoughts? I haven't heard anything on the late starts or the, so I don't have a comment there.
I haven't heard anything either.
For the Veterans Day, I'm on the fence about it, but I do appreciate that we're using it as a training opportunity for our students to maybe honor our veterans a little more than just having a day off and not really recognizing
schools that I've been in, we had a school day on Veterans Day, and we did some pretty nice assemblies where kind of the whole community came in. I don't know how different schools will approach it, but I've seen it be a pretty nice event. Otherwise it's just like it's a day off for some kids.
So what are the next steps? This is still a work in progress?
I think we're pretty close. I think if there's things that you are a go or no go on this, that we would want to incorporate those into a draft. But otherwise, I think our next steps are to kind of check it over, make sure we've got all the right numbers of days, have a few different eyes on that, because we've had a few eyes so far, and we want to make sure we've got all those details, and then I think bring it back to you guys with a final draft.
Okay. Yeah, no, I don't have any concerns, and I know what a challenge it is for our sending schools. No, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All the hard work.
I'm happy with it.
Thanks, Eric. All right, next up is a report out on our budget update by our Director of Finance, Jacob.
Okay, thank you. So just kind of to give a couple updates from version 1. The dental is looking like it's going to be a 12% increase. In this version of the budget, we added in an district operations coordinator. And that, I'll turn it over to Aaron so he can kind of give a little more.
So one of the things Jacob and I have been talking about and working on with several other folks this year is there is a growing need right now in the district for support with transportation services, and that's not like busing, that's internally some of the things. We're having some struggles with getting pre-K kids to school consistently. There's some needs for special education. So there's some needs, plus we have a fleet of 7 or 8 that everybody has a little piece of that we try to keep track of, and we need to make sure that we're not missing things that need to be taken care of with that. So that's part of the position. Another part of the position, along with the transportation, is facilities use and rentals. There's an increasing need for us to know who's in our buildings, when, where, who's responsible, and that also goes to safety. So we are working on some systems right now. Jonathan and Karen and facilities are both working on that. But as everybody knows right now, with all of the things going on with facilities and PCBs and just the state of some of our buildings, it's a big lift right now to be responsible for all of the people also in and out of the buildings after school hours. So we're looking at somebody to help with that. And then the other piece is with our emergency operations planning. Right now, that is another thing that a lot of people have pieces of, and we had CoSecure come in last year who did kind of an audit, and they were pretty adamant that a district this size should have someone overall responsible for safety and keeping track of all of the plans and the documents and keeping track of all of those things. We do a really nice job of that building by building, and we're really working hard to integrate all of that at the district level, but that takes a lot of time. So it's kind of this operations position is really support for all of those positions to kind of help coordinate all of those things.
It's like an old guy I was listening to on just now.
They can hear you.
Huh? Oh.
Okay, so the operations coordinator position is a $91,200 add to the budget. We have gone through all the open enrollment changes, so we're pretty well caught up with that. So presently today, I always like to say, each budget's a snapshot in time. But today we're looking at a $2.9 million increase with all the raises, insurance increases, and everything else, and then obviously the additional operations coordinator. So I've included in the packet the kind of draft snapshot in time of the tax calculation page. Today did get a new long-term weighted average number, and it looked like we gained about 20-something kids from version 1 to version 2. So in the right direction. We did get the December 1 letter, which has the draft of the yields, and we did get the draft of the CLA. Obviously, there's still the state-adjusted CLA, so while our, tentative CLA is looking at 99%, after the kind of state-adjusted, we're looking at 141%, which is crazy. But the homestead property taxes, the tax rate is looking like it's going to be a decrease of 33.9%. And then the income sensitivity based on the present yield is looking like it's going to be a 5.5% increase on that tax rate. This version of the budget does assume a $1 million buy down to basically get us below the excess spending threshold for FY27. Without it, we would be above that, and we would have to make some adjustments to the budget. So presently, to get us below that threshold and not having taxpayers pay out more money, the $1 million buy down gets us below that excess spending threshold.
Jacob, this is Nancy. Are you looking for a motion from the board for this buy down amount tonight?
No motion for tonight. This was just kind of an update at this point in time.
Okay.
That'll, be in the final version of the budget where we get a better handle on where things are looking like. So not at this point.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? No. Thank you, Jacob. Next up, report out on the DQS self-assessment overview by our superintendent, Caty Sutton.
Thank you. I thought it would be good to bring additional information about the district quality standards to this meeting. The last several meetings, the board has focused on the section of the district quality standards that apply to the board and to governance. But what I wanted to share with the public is that there are certain other sections of the district quality standards that I had to submit as a self-evaluation or a district evaluation to the state before the Thanksgiving recess. So I thought it would be good for me to share the other aspects of the district that we had to self-report. And again, just to clarify, this is a rollout by the state and this is a beta test this year. So we had to basically self-assess different aspects of the district for the state and submit that before the Thanksgiving break. And in future years, they're going to use this information to guide us toward making improvements and progress in some of these areas. So in addition to governance, which you heard at length in previous meetings, what the rubric entailed in assessing board governance, there's also business operations, facilities management and safety, governance, as I mentioned, district quality review, as well as things like personnel management. And so we had to go through and submit what's called a JOT form online. It's a digital survey, and indicate whether we were, beginning, approaching, proficient, or advanced on these different areas. And they were broken down in kind of a drop-down menu to explore different aspects of the district. And I also just wanted to use this as an opportunity to thank our finance team, because in relation to our finance, our business operations, we're doing really spectacularly well. It was a real glow for the district, and I think it puts us in a really good position in the event that the legislature, considers taking more steps in terms of district consolidation across the state. It's good, obviously, for reasons unrelated to any thoughts of any kind of consolidation, that we are in, healthy shape in relation to our business operations. But I just really wanted to thank Jacob and the finance team because, in those aspects of the district's work, we're very strong in that area. Some of the areas that we need to look at making progress in, which is, I don't think, surprising, is with our facilities and our management and safety of our facilities, which is something that is an absolute priority for us. But, in all other areas, we're in pretty decent shape and making a lot of progress. And it will be interesting to see, where the state goes with this information and how it impacts, our work and collaboration with the state moving forward.
Let's see, next up, for policy work, we have vote to approve C4 English learners, which was that warned last meeting?
Yes.
Okay, I was gonna say I missed last meeting because of a sports bank. So it was warned on November 19th. Motion to approve C4 English learners. Second.
So move.
So moved. All those in favor of passing? Aye.
Aye.
Right. Carries. This is also the formal warning of B5, the employee unlawful harassment, which is included in the agenda. Again, for sake of time, I'm going to say that you can read it in the agenda, and we don't have to read it. And next up is going to be the EL2 relationship with students, parents, and community, read by Ms. Caty Sutton.
Thank you. So this is my monitoring report for Executive Limitation 2, Relationship with Students, Caregivers, and Community. Much of this report has to do with the ways in which we communicate with the public. And so, for example, the first is that we don't elicit information for which there is no clear necessity. And so I interpreted that to mean that employees of the district will only gather information related to ensuring that students receive a quality education or to comply with the requirements to participate in district, state, or federal programs. So for example, that would be that we, take information for registration purposes and only the required information, and that we provide information about certain procedures such as our truancy procedures, health and immunization records for student and staff protection. We provide assistance with native language if necessary. We provide special education information, free and reduced lunch information. And then we do things like we give parents the opportunity to opt out of having their children's images shared or publicized. So it's a number of different aspects of communication and collection of information as well. So we use methods of collecting, reviewing, transmitting, or storing information to make sure that we protect against improper access. So some of what I reported back on is the ways in which we do that through our student information systems, through the antivirus software we use, and our practices in relation to technology, et cetera. And then, reporting out on the different ways in which we share information. So what you'll see in the report is that we consistently provide families with newsletters by school and by district, newly the last 2 years. And some of the state-mandated school board policies that are related to some of the sub-policies components in this report. So overall, I report policy compliance.
Thank you. Any comments from the board? Thumbs up from Nancy. All right, next up is public comments. Again, the board welcomes public comments in order to accommodate as many of the community members' voices as possible. Anyone making a comment will be given 2 minutes to speak. This is not a time for discussion, but the board is interested in hearing comments, concerns, and suggestions from the public. Do we have any public comments?
Good evening, Tim Ferriel. Thanks for all your work.
Hey, Tim.
The first question I had for you guys, and maybe you can answer it, maybe you can't, is there's been reports in the press that the school taxes are going to go up 12%. I don't know where that came from. I mean, I printed up your materials, which I'll follow up with in a minute, but where is that coming from? Where are they saying, does that represent, what does that represent?
I think the 12% that they're talking about is basically all the business managers have submitted their increases to the state as far as like the preliminary numbers, and then the state is then turning around and basing those yields on those numbers. So I would anticipate that it has to do with some of that data that's been submitted.
Mm-hmm.
I think something else that is important is that there were one-time funds used to buy down taxes last year. So that's being absorbed this year and accounts for almost half of that number.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting, though, because I was looking at the year, this kind of scenario you have, fiscal year 25, 26, 27, 25 total expenditure budget, all funds, 47 million. 26, it went to 55 million, and then you're suggesting that 27 is going to be 57 million. So I was like, wow, like that's kind of wild. In 2 years, we're up 10 million. You don't. But and then I was like, well, maybe it's because of the state. Maybe the state is not, meeting their share. But then when you look at education spending in FY25, it's 61%, and FY27 they're giving 64% of the budget. So it's not like the state is necessarily starving the subsidy, if you will. And I'm just really struck by like where this all goes, because it's kind of like pretty crazy math. And I was trying to kind of reconcile this. You have this object summary which suggests that the budget's going up 2.9 million, but then it doesn't really reconcile with this document, which has this other number at 57 million. But maybe I'll.
So the function and object summary is just the general fund only, which is what the tax is based on, and then the warrant article, that 57 million would be the tech center and the collaborative funds as well.
Okay,
and the grants.
Remember that. I should remember that from my time. The other thing I just want to mention tonight, and is kind of the main reason I came here, is as you know, the Bugby Center does amazing work, and they have a facility that's pretty tired. And they are looking at, all kinds of scenarios, be it fix it up where it sits or build an all-new facility. And I'm a huge advocate for a new facility because I think it's a community need that's going to continue to grow, and they do pretty amazing work, actually. And I just see this as an opportunity to consider kind of a synergy with the school. If you study Scandinavian countries and their success in the community with multi-generational value points as it relates to benefit from each other kind of thing, I'd be very intrigued by the idea that they could potentially locate more closely to the school and have that integration with learning from them, and they can also enjoy the energy and the resources of students and so on. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I don't know when dialogues happen, whether they happen at bars or bowling alleys, but I would love to, have that conversation as a community at large, to know what the town is doing and working on, and you guys are working on, and maybe there's some cool, possibilities there. And then more broadly, and I've come up here to say this before, but I just have this sense, given the struggles of this building, and generally what's going on in the state, that I would like you guys to consider a bold effort to build a new building. And I really believe we need the courage. I have heard people say, well, Woodstock tried it, and it was too much money, and the community rejected it. I don't think that's a good argument. I think we have a huge opportunity in Hartford to be a state-of-the-art, exceptional facility for the state. And I think the state would probably back us up long-term on that in terms of financially and so on. So I just encourage you as a board to at least look at it. There's got to be some way of gauging, like, what's the ballpark to build a new tech center, a new high school here, perhaps, same footprint. but something that we would all be very proud of and would serve this community for 20, 30 years. So, I don't know where you guys are, whether you've had those conversations, but I'm pleading with you to please have them. Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. Any other comments? Any online? Next up, the consent agenda. So first up is appointments, resignations, or retirements.
Not at this time.
All right, so do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda and the meeting minutes from 11:19?
So move.
How about a second? All right. All those in favor of accepting the consent agenda, say aye.
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 Motion carries. All right, our next board meeting is December 17th, 2025. And we will now do the meeting evaluation, which I think I can do.
Last page.
Last page. All right. The board was prepared for the meeting, satisfactory. Board's time was spent on ends, not means, satisfactory. Each board member was given opportunity to participate, satisfactory. Board treated all persons with courtesy and fairness, satisfactory. Board adhered to Robert's Rules of Order, satisfactory. Board adhered to its adopted governance style. It emphasized outward vision. It encouraged diversity in viewpoints. It exercised strategic leadership, not administrative detail. It maintained distinction between board and staff roles. It used collective decision-making, and it looked to the future. Satisfactory. With that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
That needs no second. Thank you, Nancy. Meeting adjourned.
Jeremy, thank you for stepping in for me.
You betcha. I hope you're doing well.
My family would not let me out on the ice and snow.